please welcome Mr. Azim Jamal.
We have in this room today people who have worked very hard in their life, in their businesses, saved money, tried to cut corners to manage their budgets, and then donate generously. Give them a big hand. We also have in this room people who have volunteered their time and some their knowledge well beyond the call of duty. And for me, time and knowledge is also very valuable, so we also give them a big hand. Hafiz is a Sufi poet. One day he remarked, "Even after all this time, the sun doesn't tell the earth, 'You owe me.' With a love like that, you light the whole sky." My friends, you are lighting the community of Langley with your generous donations and with your generous time and knowledge. Today, I want to focus just on 3 points, which basically illustrate that giving enriches us all. The first point is about no receiver, no giver. The second point is about you don't have to be rich to give. Rather, when you give, you become richer. And the third point I want to give is when you start to give, whether it's your money, your time, your knowledge, you get the wheels in motion to start the universe work towards your success and your growth. So let's start with the first point. No receiver, no giver. Some years back, I was doing a talk in Hyderabad in India. My talk was with a group of YPO, Young Presidents Organization. And my talk was on the subject of synergy between business, balance, and beyond. But I have a habit, no matter what my subject is, I must bring in giving somewhere. And this was no exception. So after my talk, I have this big, tall guy, his name is Yogesh Dixit, comes to me and says, "Azim, can I share a story with you?" I said, "Sure." So he tells me many years ago, he was a chairman of a roundtable club. And they raised a big amount of money for charity. And his job was to take this big check, phenomenal check, and give it to Mother Teresa when she was alive. So he took this big check, a phenomenal check, and gave it to Mother Teresa. And Mother Teresa looked at the check, and of course her eyes twinkled, and she was very happy, and she prayed for him, and she wished his team good luck, and appreciated all the hard work they had done. And then she paused. And as you know, Mother Teresa was a petite, small lady, and this guy is a big, tall guy. So she went on her toes, reached on his shoulder, looked him in his eye, and said to him, "But you must never forget to thank the people who allow you to serve them." See, I raised all this money, my team raised the money, we worked hard, and we have to thank the people who we are giving the money to? He said, I was confused. He said, for many years I was grappling with that statement. But today, when you talked about that people who have never experienced the beauty and the bounty and the potency of giving don't know what they're missing. It dawned unto me that if I had so much to give and nobody to receive, who would I give it to? This is what Mother Teresa was telling me. Think about people like Warren Buffett and Bill Gates, who you, by the way, are partnering in a way of your giving. It's relative. Warren Buffett is giving $36.6 billion from his estate to Bill Gates and Melinda Gates Foundation. Bill Gates and the Melinda Gates Foundation have given, both of them have given about $36 billion. But it's relative to what you have. But the point is, if they became so successful, made so much money, but there was nobody to give to, what will happen? My friends, every one of us, without exception, is born with a zero. We all come in this world naked, with nothing, zero, zip. Then from zero, we go 10 to 100 to 1,000 to 10,000 to 100,000 to million to 10 million to billion, and we die with a zero. So, if there's nothing to give to, if there's nothing to make a difference to, we need a receiver. And some of us who give a lot, sometimes we have a hard time receiving. But imagine, if you don't receive, then you deprive somebody else of giving. So there is a giving in receiving, and there's a receiving in giving. It's a dual kind of thing, and Khalil Gibran says it beautifully. He said, look at the bee and the flower. The bee takes honey from the flower. The flower gives honey to the bee. For the bee, the flower is a fountain of life. For the flower, the bee is a messenger of love. And in the giving and receiving, they have a need and an ecstasy. If you look at nature, it's all about give and take. It's all about giving and receiving. If the sun gave light and nobody wanted to receive the light would be wasted. But the earth is waiting for the light. Bring it on. So we are living in a life where we come with zero, we die with zero, but when we are able and we are blessed. You know, my friends, I'm 65 years old, even though I look 40. But recently, very recently, every morning I pray for 3 things. And these are not earth-shattering things, they're simple things. But knowing those simple things, and I've known them for years, is one thing. It's here. But when it comes to here, and you experience it, it's a different ballgame. And these 3 prayers have changed my life. It's made me so liberated and fearless. What are these 3 things? I wake up in the morning and I pray. Pray to universal energy, to God, to whoever you believe in. I say, I don't need any, I'm not interested in fame. I don't want any fame. I don't want any credit for what I do. I don't want any recognition. But please give me impact. Please give me the ability to make positive impact in the life of others. Let somebody else get the credit. Somebody else get recognition. Somebody else get fame. I don't worry about it. And that little statement has been so powerful, it's not even funny. I go on a flight, I sit on a flight, and somebody sits beside me. Guess what? Looking for impact. And she's got the right guy, or he's got the right guy. When I travel 6 months a year, my wife is sitting there, she can vouch for it. I'm 1 month home, 1 month away. Okay? So when I come back to Vancouver and nobody calls me for some kind of voluntary work, I get nervous. Why aren't they calling me? What's wrong with me? But if somebody calls me to do some voluntary work, I'm excited because I get a chance to make an impact. So that's the first one. The second prayer I say is, I'm taking from one hand and giving with the other. As long as I keep giving with the other hand, I keep receiving from this hand. But more importantly, I'm only a vessel. I'm only a conduit. I'm not the giver. I'm just chosen to give, and I'm very, very thankful and very, very grateful that I get a chance to give. Because I believe all of you sitting in this room are blessed. You're chosen to give. Some people have a lot but cannot give. Some people cannot give because they don't have anything. But you have a lot, whether it's knowledge, whether it's time, whether it's money, and you're able to give, that means you're chosen. My friends, richness is not defined by how much you have. Richness is defined by how much you give. So a poor man who gives a lot is very rich. And a rich man who cannot give is very poor. Close your fist. Just close your fist. Don't hit anybody. Now, if I give you something, can you receive? You can't receive, right? Now, open your fist and give. And if I give you, can you receive? So, the more in the flow of giving you are, the more giving flows through you. The more in the flow of abundance you are, abundance flows through you. A cow which stops giving milk cannot create more milk. A tree which has a fruit and nobody takes it, it falls down and rots. A river which stops flowing stagnates, dies. So when we stop giving, we stop creating. When we stop giving, we stop innovating. When we stop giving, we stop having. When we stop giving, we stop finding. When we stop giving, we stop receiving. My brothers and sisters, when you stop giving, you stop living. You're dead. We are born to give. We are hardwired to give. We have an innate need to give. And when we suppress that, we suppress our potential. We suppress our gift. We suppress our calling. And when we give, we enrich the people we give, and we enrich ourselves. I went to one of the poorest countries in the world, Tajikistan, to work with a company called Pamir Energy, whose role was to put warmth and light in every household in Gorno-Badakhshan. Very poor families. They cannot afford the light, they cannot afford the warmth. But this company does it for them. And I went there, but you can only fly to Dushanbe, not to Korog, where I was supposed to go. From Dushanbe to Korog, you have to go by helicopter. But if it's a fog, you can't travel by helicopter, so you got to go by car. We had a 12-hour ride to go from Dushanbe to Korog. It took us 19 hours, 4 flat tires on the way. The roads are very treacherous. The 4th flat tire happened at 3 o'clock in the morning, pitch dark. And we had to be in Korog in the morning. And we are stuck. So this driver goes to an unknown house, small house, and knocks at the door, hoping that they will come and give us some light and we can do the tire. Guess what? Everybody wakes up. Everybody in the house wakes up. They make tea, they make snacks, they did our tire. And with such joy and happiness and energy, it was mind-boggling. That how do people who are so poor want to do so much? You know, I realize why. I realize that people who are destitute, who are poor, who cannot do much, are always given. And World Bank and Swiss government and academia are helping them with the light and warmth. But when they get a chance to give, they feel important. They feel valuable. They feel I can make an impact. Their esteem goes up. So all of us in our service, we have to remember the best way to serve people is to make them the masters of their destiny. If you want to eliminate poverty, this is the only way to eliminate poverty. Nobody likes to have a handout. People like a hand up, not handout. And all of us are playing a part in giving a hand up. So as we give, we enrich others and we enrich ourselves. So you don't have to be rich to give. Rather, you become richer when you give. And my last point, the third point is, when you start to give, you get the wheels in motion. Sometimes it happens instantaneously. Sometimes it takes a long time to happen. Sometimes you get a reward which is tangible, and sometimes you get a reward which is intangible. So let me share this story with you. I used to have 3 professional accounting degrees. Hard to believe, right? Accountant, me? You must be kidding. I did my ACCA in England, my Charter of Financial Planning degree, and my CPA. But 22 years ago in October 10th, I was called to do some voluntary work with some refugees to do budgeting as an accountant. With my family's support, I went there for 6 weeks, and I was doing budgeting. But one experience changed my life. I went to a small hut of 14 refugees, asking them how much money they need to live on. I was there 20 minutes, and I got physically sick. Mosquitoes, kitchen, washroom, the stories you hear, how people saw their father die in front of them, how it was such heartbreaking. So I walked out of the hut. I was tired. I was sick. As I walk out of the hut, I see young kids and women standing there because they saw me in a suit. They thought I was important. And a small child with rosy cheeks, big eyes, and a smile on their face. And they're looking at me as if I'm going to help them. And I'm sick. I was there maybe 60 seconds, 1 minute. But for me, it was like eternity. That 60 seconds like eternity. Guess what? I walked away like a coward. I walked away like a coward because I didn't know what to do. My cab was waiting for me. I went inside the cab, and I went to Marriott Hotel, 25 minutes ride. It was a hot, hot, hot day. But I was shivering, and I was sweating. And I sobbed like a baby. I sobbed like a baby. I was 43 years old then. The 25 minutes in the cab ride was a defining moment in my life. My soul was shaken. I got to the lobby of the hotel. My colleague saw me. I'd wiped up my tears. The first thing he says, Azim, what's wrong? I don't want to talk to him. I want to go to my room, put a pillow on my face, and cry some more. But he's a hardcore businessman. He's probing. I got to tell him something to get him off my back. So I told him, if I had to die for a cause, I would die for a cause helping people like that. I went in my room, I had a sleepless night. First of all, if I died, nothing. How did I help them? Nothing. Secondly, in my 43 years, I had never found a cause. I had never found a cause that I would die for. And guess what? The irony was, when I found a cause that I would die for, my life began. I was dead before that. I had 3 degrees, I had a reasonable salary. I was dead. There was no fire, there was no burning desire, there was no passion. But that incident created passion in me. I created a big vision that I will write about giving, I will talk about giving, I will create impact. I came home. My family is saying to me, my son is 3 years old, my daughter is 8, how are you going to support them? So my wife said that the only condition I'll allow you to change the career if you don't sell our accounting businesses. And thank God I listened to her. Because if I didn't, I would have been bankrupt. The first year I spoke 185 times across the world, not just to Chilliwack or Abbotsford. I went to Paris, and I went to Dallas, and I went to New York, and I went to Sydney. Didn't make a penny. In fact, I was spending my own money. Second year I spoke 187 times, zero money. I wrote my first book, 10,000 hours, 5 years, couldn't put a book in the bookstore. One day, my book was out, 7 Steps to Lasting Happiness. My vision was to sell 5.7 million copies. I go in the Chapters bookstore in Richmond, where I stay. The best-selling author coming to watch his book for his book. You don't go and ask for your own book, right? Looks pathetic, right? So I go in the computer. I put 7 because my book is called 7 Steps to Lasting Happiness. The computer says there are 70 books on 7. I'm going through each one up and down and up, sideways, this way. I can't find my book. So I put happiness. 70 books on happiness. I go up and down and up, sideways, this way. I can't find my book. I said, what kind of bookstore is this? And I put my name, Azim Jamal, Azim, J-A-M-A. Then I stop. I don't put L. I look back. Anybody watching? Nobody watching because everything is negative. So nobody's watching, so I put L. And the computer says, author. I said, yes, finally. Author, unknown. I was depressed. I gave every inch, every ounce, every passion. I can't put a book in the bookstore. How am I going to help the refugees? I'm walking away depressed. As I'm walking away from the computer, from few thousand books, there's one book staring at me like a light, like a beacon. I said, what's your problem? Do you know how many books I read? And the last thing I want to do is read a book. Look at my life. I'm a mess. So I'm walking away. I come to the door of the bookstore, and I have 3 choices. I go to my car, I go to the bathroom, or I go to the book. And my late colleague, Dr. Stephen Covey, says, this is called the moment of integrity. It's called the moment of integrity when lives change. So in that moment of integrity, I went to the book, but I said, I'm not going to read the whole book. I'm just going to read the introduction. So I pick up the book and read the introduction. The story of a guy who goes to Second World War. He comes back from Second World War and he's selling life insurance. And guess what? After World War II, nobody's dying, so nobody's buying life insurance. So he's going broke. He's going broke. His wife ditches him. His kid ditches him. He starts getting drunk every day. It was so bad, he had lost everything. And one day he was walking in the month of November in Cleveland, USA, in the cold weather with $30 in his pocket. And he comes across a pawn shop. And he sees a tag, a small tag, on a revolver for $29. He takes out those three $10 bills. He says, I buy the revolver, buy a bullet, and kill myself. Go to my dingy apartment and kill myself. But he says, I don't know what happened. Maybe I didn't have the spine to go in the store. And I kept walking. And I came across a library. And I went inside the library. It was warm inside the library, cold outside. So I wandered and came to a section on self-help motivation. I picked up a book. And I liked the book. So next day I went again to read a book. And again, went to different libraries, kept reading books and books until I came across a book by W. Clement Stone called Success Through Positive Mental Attitudes. And he loved the book. So he met W. Clement Stone, he got a job as selling, and eventually he became an editor of the company, and he wrote his first book. Now, tell me, my friends, look at me, I travel the world, I was an accountant, I have a good network, I can't put a book in the bookstore. This guy wants to commit suicide, has $30 in his pocket, no family. How many books will this guy sell? One to his cousin, one to the library, one to himself? Have a guess. He sold, when I read the book, 36 million copies. He wrote 20 plus books in 20 different languages. Today he's sold 50 million copies. His name is Og Mandino, and the first book he wrote was called The Greatest Salesman in the World. Sold 10 million copies. Now why am I sharing this story? What is the universe telling me? Azim, you're complaining. You gave every inch, every ounce, every passion. If he can do it, why can't you do it? I ran home to my website and I put a quote, when the night is the darkest, dawn is the closest. Things still didn't change. I still struggled. I still struggled until my fifth book. I've written 8 books now. My fifth book was called, which you'll get a copy tonight, The Power of Giving. Harvey McKinnon, my friend, and my co-author, we wrote this book and we said, nobody wants to publish. Who is Azim? Who is Harvey? Nobody knows us. And to publish a book, printing and pay your money after publishing 4 books, which are still sitting in the garage, you don't want to do that. So we did a download, free download. Free download, 35,000 people downloaded the book. And they started giving us comments. Great book, inspiring book, life-changing book. I said, why, this is good. So then we self-published a book. We self-published a book and told the 35,000 people, please promote. Guess what happened? We beat Harry Potter. We have a caption on Amazon, Power of Giving is number 1, Harry Potter is number 2, and another copy of the Harry Potter, different edition, number 3. Penguin from New York phoned us, we want this book. So they published a book in hard copy. Became number 1 again on Amazon. They published in soft copy the third time, became number 1 on Barnes & Noble. Then we won an award called Nautilus Gold Award for books that changed lives. And we never looked back. We never looked back. My point is, I started the journey, went to work with refugees, wanting to change their life, make their life better. Guess what the outcome was? In the process of making their life better, I made my life better. I do what I love to do. What I do now, I can do it in my sleep. I never carry any notes, any PowerPoint. I speak from the heart because this is my gift. This is my calling. I was born to do this. But I only found out this. I stumbled into it. When? When I went to give my time. When I went to volunteer my time to try and make other people's life better. So whenever you do good, how small or big it is, universe keeps track. We accountants cannot keep track, but the universe keeps track. And universe never keeps a debt. Sooner or later, it multiplies. Tangibly and intangibly. And you know the biggest gift you will get? Is happiness. I meet so many rich people. I work with some of the richest people in the world. I coached them. and you're not happy. Because the best way to get happiness is to give happiness. Happiness is like a shadow. The more you walk up, the more you want to for yourself, it will elude you. The more you walk away from it and give it to others, it follows you. So when we make others happy, we make ourselves happy. So in conclusion, I made 3 points. No receiver, no giver. We need the receivers. Otherwise, our life will miss out the joy and the beauty and the bounty of giving, and we all have a need to give. Secondly, we don't have to be very rich to give. Rather, when you give, you become richer. If you are rich and you cannot give, you're very poor. If you're poor and you give a lot, you're very rich. And finally, whenever you put a seed of giving, you're reaping the fruits sooner or later. But never, never, never. Sooner or later, you're going to reap the rewards. So once again, all of you who have given money, who have given time, who have given knowledge, kudos to you. And by your giving, as Hafiz says, the sun never says to the earth, you owe me. And with a love like that, you light up the sky. All of you, without exception, you're lighting the community of Langley. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.